stand up for that introduction to the defense industry and how spokesman. I also want to thank Dave Johnson. I've been involved for a couple of years, but I was once here at this institution on the professor then called the International Relations Committee. And Dave accompanied me in a fantastic staff delegation to multiple African countries. We crossed a lot of borders. For Dave's taste, it was one border too many. He had the juice between sticking with me and getting in trouble when he got back. Appreciate you sticking with me. And congratulations on your new endeavors. This is a wonderful conference. In the great tradition of being the last speaker before our Afrikaans spokesman, I will point out that everything important has been said, but it has not been said by me. I've got about 4 or 5 points. If this were a presentation at Lockheed or the Defense Department, it would be about 10 slides. If you want to get yourself that way. The title is an independent review of Africom, and I concur with John's point that you can't review it. It's not fully right. But I think that, from my point of view, a lot of things are going very well, and a lot of it is things that were started when it was still part of EECOM. And EECOM had a very active. One of my colleagues at Lockheed is General Jim Jamerson, which many of you know, who was the deputy commander of EECOM, and started a number of very good programs that try to address some of the issues. The 4 or 5 points I'd like to make is kind of in the form of recommendations. First off, recognize that AFRICOM and the creation of AFRICOM and its duties, it occurs in the context of a much larger shift, I think, in military doctrine in the U.S. In the last couple of years, we have seen the formation and production of the stability operations field, the doctrine on counterinsurgency warfare, the partner capacity field, the creation of authorities like Section 1206 and 1207, the realities of war in Afghanistan and Iraq. They could driven home to the military in a way that really hasn't been seen since Vietnam, that soft power and the soft issues really matter to U.S. national security interests. And that although they recognize that the civilian agencies like state, the DoD, and of course the civilian leadership is the lead in diplomacy and development, that these activities and the quality of their performance has a direct effect on U.S. national security objectives in many seen and unseen ways. And I think that Secretary Gates, who was the Secretary of Defense in the last administration and has continued, that continuity has allowed an evolution and formation of thinking. And you see it exhibited in the entire senior leadership of the Defense Department, in General Petraeus, and General Stavridis, and Norrie Schwartz. People are much more tuned in than they were in the 1980s and 90s to the importance of human security issues and not the legitimacy of governments, not just from some abstract, objective point of view on a list of governance, but from the point of view, subjective point of view of the government. And that these things matter. That direct action, to use their special forces term, is not more important in the long term necessarily than the old foreign and internal defense, the kind of soft, the vanilla special forces that they're certainly familiar with, the kind of long-term engagement and bringing along. So that brings me to point number 2, which is simply a recommendation that recognize, and I think Patrick Cronin made this point, I'm glad to hear it was brought up at the Stanley Foundation event, that security and national security means different things. And there's a large element of human security and internal security in the minds of most of the governed in Africa and most of the military institutions in Africa. We need to recognize that. We need to, in military-to-military engagement, AFRICOM and the folks associated with it have to put themselves in the shoes of the folks that are working in each country, in each region, and figure out what are the long poles in their tent, what are the issues that they are concerned about, whether it be border migration, or food security, or drug trafficking, or internal potential for civil war or coups. Third, I recommend that that AFRICOM think big when it's thinking about preventive security engagement. There are lots of bilateral, mil-to-mil relationships. They go on all the time. They should go on all the time. But that by itself is not enough, in my opinion. And by thinking big, I mean things where AFRICOM can help play a catalytic role, working closely with the U.S. institutions, the State Department, as well as multilateral institutions, regional organizations, the African Union, ECOWAS, the East African Community, NATO. Think about some things where a catalytic role can be played using the political as well as economic resources that the Defense Department can bring to bear. What would be an example? Maritime domain awareness. Since I've been at Lockheed, and my background besides the Hill was State Department, I never served in the military. I really didn't have that much knowledge of DoD. Since I've been to Lockheed, I've been like a kid in a candy store, looking around at some of the programs that we do for the Defense Department, the intelligence community, or people with real money. And I think, wow, we could have used that capability over at State. Things like mobile communications capabilities, and global visualization using various sensors to enable decision support, and things like network analysis. And one of those items was this neat little program capability that was developed for maritime domain awareness that basically puts on any boat, with a radar system, and it beams up that boat's picture of the radar footprint level, but it's 10, 20, 30 miles, depending on the radar set. And you could have multiple things in these, and it all fuses it together and pumps it out over just internet protocol with Google Earth. And a base station anywhere in the world, along the coast or back here, can look and see what is being seen by these various radar footprints. Now just imagine if you had your entire local fishing fleet of a West African state outfitted with these, and they're out there just doing their business, and they each one have it on it. They have radar in the boat, so you might have to install the radar. So you've got this fleet out there, and it allows you to have a ground station picture of what's happening in the 200-mile exclusive economic zone. And you see, because you can build in a little algorithm, that there's a track out there that's going back and forth like a trawler is. And say, okay, now there's probably a fishing boat. So you take your little Cessna twin-engine plane with a camera pod on it, and you fly out. You've got the geolocation, you know exactly where it is. You're not just out there steaming around looking, for maybe, seeing something. And you can see, take a picture of this survey. And so the SS Minnow out there is at this location within the exclusive economic zone, clearly with its wings out, clearly fishing. Check the list. Does it have a license? No.